That is, thank you very much to all the new followers for checking in. Glad to have you along for the ride. Really nice to be able to see everybody subscribing and watching what's going on. We cover the area of southeast Tennessee, North Georgia, northeast Alabama, and extreme western North Carolina with the News 12 viewing area. We'll take a look at the maps in just a little bit and give you an idea as to what's going on and where. If you have questions, we are monitoring both YouTube and our Twitch feed. So if you have questions about anything weather-wise, go ahead and drop them into the comments section, the chat function, and we'll see what we can do about getting those answered. Again, if this is not your cup of tea, thanks for stopping by and watching. I know that a lot of Twitch is just basically just chatting, a lot of games being played, just all kinds of other stuff, including learning how to knit, learning how to sew, learning how to cook, learning this, that, whatever. We don't do too much of anything really exciting here. This is all about the weather for this particular area of the country. That's part of my passion, being a meteorologist and a chief meteorologist at that. So we keep an eye on what goes on around here. And if you have a question about weather in this area, great. If you have a question about weather in general, some of the astronomical stuff that we talk at, the Chinese space station will be flying overhead here in about 90 minutes. Kind of iffy about whether or not we're going to be able to see anything, but we'll wait and see on that. We've also got a lot of local events coming up, and we'll talk more about that in just a little while. We do have the potential of some great outreach taking place in the near future where it comes to amateur radio and emergency communications. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a little while. Let's go ahead and get started. Temperatures right about where they should be, below the average normal of 87 and below the average low of 67. Not even anywhere close to the record low of 49, which hasn't been broken since 1988. We are dry, behind for the month of June and the year 2024 by fractions of an inch, but we're continuing to see that dry weather increasing. I would not be surprised if we got to the point of having something in the way of maybe a fire weather watch at some point in time relatively soon. All of our cameras that I'm about to show you are available on the EPB Fiber Optics WeatherCam network. Post sunset, looking off toward Lookout Mountain on the Bailey's Heating and Air camera. Beautiful view from downtown. Beautiful weather for baseball. Hope the rally that the Lookouts were on is going to hold. We'll see how they're doing coming up in just a little bit. Remnants of sunset seen from Lee Point on the Plainview Outdoor Advertising camera. Again, a beautiful night out there. Some clouds will be sticking around for this evening, so we will pick up some clouds, but definitely no rainfall. Most of them to be high, thin clouds for the most part, but that's stretching all the way back out toward Raccoon Mountain and Lookout Mountain from the News 12 studio camera, brought to you by Patriot Concrete. From 2475, we had some pretty good backups here last night thanks to an injury accident taking place back up toward Brainerd Road. What you're looking at here is 75 coming up from Atlanta and then going 24 west toward downtown Chattanooga, or and then going 75 north from 24 east. This is construction traffic at this point, so there's no accidents and there's no other slowdowns to report on the TDOT system. Although we do have, what do we have here on I-75? We have a disabled vehicle at mile marker 15 at about 8:30. That's about an hour and 20 minutes ago, right about I-75, close to around the Ottawa-Georgetown Road exit, right before you head up into the hills. And that is the only thing we've got going on. So all of this that you see here is pretty much just construction traffic because of all the heavy construction going over toward 24 west on Moore and Germantown Road over this direction. So something to watch out for there. Downtown from the North Shore, looking on the Speedy's Total Car Care camera and back toward AT&T Field where the game is ongoing. Beautiful night, Tennessee River flowing on through, Coolidge Park and the footbridge, looking at some very mild conditions for right now. And last but not least, we'll take a look at the Chattanooga Zoo webcams showing remnants of sunset out there. Now, we had a different logo in the last couple of days. The Chattanooga Zoo So Ice Cream Safari is coming up this weekend on the 15th, but we've changed it back because the good news is that, well, the bad news is you can't attend it anymore because if you didn't get tickets, because the good news is it's all sold out. So congratulations to the Chattanooga Zoo for an upcoming sold-out ice cream social. Hopefully that works pretty well in the near future, and rain should not be a problem for that event. Temperatures are back into the mid to upper 70s at the Chattanooga airport and showing winds out of the northeast at about 6, continuing to bring in that very dry air. So we are continuing to see that dry air sticking around for now, and that's going to help into the next couple of days to really ramp our temperatures up. The markers that you see moving, the arrows on here, that's winds, and at the lower portion of the atmosphere showing the area of high pressure just above us, and that is helping as we zoom out even farther with a decent amount of dry air from almost up around Hudson Bay, dropping through eastern Canada across the Great Lakes and giving us some very nice conditions. We have several storm systems lined up all the way back. You can see one more system out here over the Gulf of Alaska into the Bering Sea almost, and looks like another one after that. So we've got plenty of these storm systems about ready to head our direction, but what's going to happen is that high pressure, which is keeping things dry and eventually going to turn the temperatures up by getting winds to come out of the south. All these systems that you see here, most of them anyway, are going to get pushed back toward the north. So we're not going to see much of any interference from any storm system. And even if we did, the dry air, which is between us and the Gulf and the East Coast, that's keeping any tropical moisture from heading back up our direction. So there's really little, if anything, taking place in the way of any change up where the weather is concerned anytime soon. We will be seeing, again, a very warm couple of days coming up, to say the least. Here's what we're looking at for tonight. 50s for lows. High pressure moves to the east and then slowly starts to kind of wander back this direction. So a much warmer day tomorrow, pushing the mid to upper 80s. And then we get into Thursday morning, where temperatures will be quite warmer in the mornings, not the mid 50s, but the lower to mid 60s. Atlanta and southeast maybe picking up lows in the lower to mid 70s. High temperatures on Thursday pushing 90 degrees in many locations. Friday morning, nowhere near cool, upper 60s to mid 70s possible. And then mid 90s. Take a look down here around Atlanta, Birmingham, Montgomery, Macon, and Savannah. Temperatures will be in the mid to high 90s and even pushing the century mark around Augusta. So that is something that could be a problem for outdoor activities going on. Next front arrives, and this one could be giving us the potential of maybe some more clouds. Early Saturday morning, I really don't think that we're going to be picking up much of anything. By the time the storm system fights against that area of high pressure, it's going to be a shade of its former self. So I doubt we're going to pick up anything out of this system. Now, next week, yeah, way beyond this forecast, there is going to be that potential for some problems going on where outdoor activities are concerned. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a little bit. The extended forecast, at least until the end of the week, according to the Climate Prediction Center's short to medium range forecast, the dark brick red colors indicates much above normal temperatures. And that's yesterday, this brick red area was about maybe from Chicago over toward Toledo and Buffalo and around Detroit. Now it is about 4 or 5 times bigger than that. What does that mean? It means that much more warmer air will be settling in north of us, and much warmer than what we're seeing down here. We're not going to be getting quite as warm as what we're seeing back to the north. Well, call it hot. That's what it's going to be. Down this direction, it is going to be much warmer, about a category above normal. I don't think we're looking at record highs for now. We'll keep our eyes on that and let you know. But for right now, expecting some very warm conditions. Much of the forecast appeared to be panning out for, again, a decent heat wave over the area. We'll take a look at the tropics coming up here in just a little bit. Beautiful view. Still a few folks out and about on the waters of Lake Chickamauga. You can see some lights out there in portions of the cove and a few folks here and there, but otherwise a beautiful night out across much of the region. Here's what we're looking for as we go into the next several days. Flag Day is Friday, and that's where we start hitting the high 90s. We stay in the high 90s through Dad's Day on Sunday. World Day to combat desertification and drought, that's coming up on Monday. And then if we get enough chances of showers and thunderstorms and the clouds that go with them to block out some of that sunshine, we might see temperatures less hot. I really hesitate to call the lower 90s cooler in any stretch of the imagination. So for right now, we'll drop the temperatures a little bit, but we will still be well above normal as we go into the early portion of next week. So we've got a lot of hot conditions coming up, which means if you have any outdoor plans, sunblock, extra water, always want to carry that extra tank of water around just in case. A little bit of ice in there always helps to make certain you stay hydrated during these long hot days. We haven't even hit summertime yet. We've got 11 days left to go, so it's not on this forecast yet, but by the time we work our way into around next Tuesday, it's going to be very close. The official beginning of summer, the solstice is coming up, and we will be getting close to that as we go toward next week. 10, 11 days away at this point, and that will be next Saturday. Not this Saturday, but next Friday, Saturday. So we're getting very close to that change in season, even though it looks like summer has pretty much started without us if we go into the course of the next several days. So not looking at anything cool anytime soon. It'd be nice, but that's not going to be happening for what we can see for the time being out there. So something to think about for outdoor safety. Remember, heat can be a killer, so please keep that in mind. And safety's sake, sunblock, taking breaks in the shade or the air conditioning, getting extra water for your body to put back what your body sweats away. That is a very good thing to make certain that you have ready to go. All right, so the atmosphere that we have is not just one layer. It's not just one entity. It is technically, when you look at it at the point of view of an atmosphere, but that atmosphere with our planet has many different characteristics to it, and it has levels just like a layer cake, many of them, in fact. And the topmost layer at the edge of space is called the exosphere, the thermosphere, the mesosphere, or the troposphere. And tonight's voting, the lion's share got it right tonight. 76% voted for the exosphere, the top layer of Earth's atmosphere. That's our friend in roofing. .com weather poll of the day. You can vote at wdef.com/vote now if you'd like to take a look and see what's out there. Want to go over a couple of things here. First of all, into the tropics, because we have not just one area of interest, that yellow blob off the east coast. We have two of them. They're not organized systems. They're not tropical depressions, tropical storms, or hurricanes. They are just what is called an area of investigation, or an invest. Number one, 20% chance of developing into something, and right now over the Gulf heading up that direction. The next one moving up along Central America, that one also has a 20% chance of developing into something. But taking a look at what we're seeing, the main part of the storm system is here. As we go into the next couple of days, it's going to track across Florida. Lots of rainfall possible with this particular system. Again, it is labeled as Invest 90L, and the way they label these things is that the letter determines a little bit more as to where the storm develops, in the Pacific, in the Atlantic, in the Caribbean, in the Indian Ocean. There are different letters for designation on here. So Invest 90L is expected to go across Florida into the Atlantic, where again it's going to go over that Gulf current, where we could be seeing the potential for some problems out there with development and maybe some rain being shoveled toward the East Coast. So that is something we're going to be watching very carefully in the course of the next several days. Field Day, next Saturday. It is Amateur Radio's Day of the Year. This is a big day to promote amateur radio and to get the word out to the public about getting into a great hobby. If you'd like to know more about becoming an amateur radio operator, it's not as difficult as you think. It's a quiz, and it's about $15 to take the quiz. You have to study for it. 3 levels. technician, general, and advanced or extra. I think I'm at the general level. I need to get my highest level taken care of one of these days. You do not need to know Morse code anymore. That is not a thing. If you'd like to test for it, you can. But you do not have to know it to get your amateur radio license. I got my license in 2000 in February from the Delta Amateur Radio Club in Bartlett. If you'd like to know more about what Field Day is and where to find the clubs that are going to be setting up around the area, and if you see tents and antennas and a lot of different cars and trucks where usually there are not any, the idea of Field Day is to get into the field, out and away from a home or a house, to practice in the field so that if a disaster strikes, you will be able to get on the air and help as per necessary. So again, ARRL, the American Radio Relay League .org/field-day, and you can see where all the clubs are setting up nearby you. Now, on that note, and thank you very much to Cleveland Amateur Radio Club for sending this information in. They're going to have an introduction class, an open house to ham radio. It's going to be on the day of Field Day starting right before everything gets going from noon to 1 p.m. at 560 Johnson Boulevard Southeast in Cleveland, Tennessee. Again, that's on the day that Field Day starts, June the 22nd. But since they are going to be serving lunch with this and would like to invite you to share lunch afterwards, they need a head count. So if you're going to show up for this, please RSVP no later than Wednesday, June 19th. How do you do that? Go to their website, CARC, Cleveland Amateur Radio Club, CARC.cc. I apologize. Earlier tonight I had CARC.com. That is the incorrect address. This is the correct one, CARC.cc, and you can go visit the Cleveland Amateur Radio Club website. The registration information is on the front page. You have to scroll down for a little bit. This is a great way to get acquainted with amateur radio, learn about the technology, learn about the other folks who are involved. If you've been in amateur radio for a long period of time and can help, you are nicknamed an Elmer. So find your Elmer, find out more about amateur radio. Great opportunity to learn more here. And again, that is coming up next week, Saturday, but please RSVP by Wednesday, the 19th. So thank you very much for doing that, Cleveland Amateur Radio Club. Didn't get a name on this, but a beautiful view of the aurora from Soddy Daisy a few weeks ago. Thank you very much, Anonymous, whoever you were on this, for a picture of, quote, an amazing night. If you've got pictures of other amazing nights or amazing days or amazing fog or amazing rain, but whatever, we'll take them. Just go ahead and send them in to us. Social media page, email them to us, or get them to us at wdef.com/photos, and we'll be glad to have you along for that. Once again, I think it's going to be fairly quiet around here for now. Don't want to forget about next week. Not happening yet, but it will be. I want to touch on this because National Lightning Safety Awareness Week begins this Sunday, and there'll be tons of topics. We'll have weather quizzes on that. So if you'd like to find out more, go to lightningsafetycouncil.org and find out more about why no place outside is safe, and that it may sound like a stupid little poem or just a reminder, but if it gets people to be safe, I'm all for it. When thunder roars, go indoors. So you can find out more about that at our websites as well. And again, you can also find out more about what did I do with it? It was here a minute ago. Okay, well, I guess I don't. Oh, here we go. International World Day to Combat Desertification and Drought. That's coming up Monday the 17th, and we need to know more about what our use of fossil fuels are doing to the planet. So if you'd like to know more about how we can all fight desertification and how drought is changing things, go to the United Nations, UN.org, for more information about what's going on there. All right, that should do it. Going to wrap things up for tonight because we got some recordings going on here in a few minutes, and I got to be out of the way. Questions, concerns, ideas, drop them to me at aonek@wdef.com, and I'd be glad to hear from you on web or again again on the chat function. Drop your information to us there. More coming up on News 12 at 11. Myself and Dave Staley will have more on the news and weather of the day. And, of course, Chip Chapman will have your forecast bright and early on Wednesday the 12th. Unfortunately, I just realized on YouTube it says Monday there. So let me go ahead and fix that because I should have gotten that taken care of, and I didn't, and that looks sloppy. So let's just go ahead and change that over. Okay, Tuesday the 11th, that's today. Thank you very much for joining us for Weather Overtime for Tuesday night, and we'll have more for you again coming up on Wednesday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austen Onek. Thank you for dropping by and watching. And again, stay tuned for more with News 12 on air and online, and we'll see you again on Peak of the Week Wednesday.